From Washington, D.C., this is the Beyond the Dumbbells Show, your source of information and inspiration for living an audacious life. Hear interviews and social banter with special guests on Fitspiration and news from around the globe. Here are your hosts, fitness and lifestyle experts, Brian and Jenny Sweeney.
And here we are. This is us. This is you. We're all ready to do this thing again.
Yeah.
I always start out with too. Offline conversation that went a little bit spicy that we're like, we should probably talk about this with everybody so that everyone has an idea as to how the Sweeney thinks.
Exactly. We're going to dial in our spice just a bit, though. You can't handle the spice.
You can't handle the spice. All right, so hopefully this is... All right, so I had talked to you earlier that as I've gotten older, and this is... that phrase has been coming up in a lot of things. I know I'm not old. I know in the scale of things, I'm not old. I'm struggling with age because all of my mentors and heroes and the people I grew up with are dying. So that's what's making me think old. I'm getting old, is that I'm watching my Clint Eastwood's freaking drop off, my Harrison Ford's just looking frail and old. It's like Han Solo's old as dirt. So I feel old. So I don't really believe I'm old when I say this, but as I age, I'm starting to realize that I'm developing opinions, and I can't remember how I phrased it with you, that I don't believe can be swayed or changed by anybody.
Yep.
As you're older and you have an opinion about something, there's always room for movement. It can kind of get better, get worse, or some conditions in life that might change or sway your opinion as you get older. I'm at that point now where I don't think I will be changed on some of these things, and I'm starting to recognize that I would have said I always have principles, but now these are my principles. And I think that's the nature of a principle. Is before I always thought of them as flexible over time, that as you gain more life experience, your principles might change. They should be for the better. Yep. Mine are getting for the worse. Because I'm starting to be that get off my lawn guy that So the one thing I'd said to you, and this will grow from the conversation because there's a tiny bit of ranting. I don't even know if this doesn't even have anything to do with lifestyle day. This has to do with, this is what I'm struggling with, and maybe I'm not alone. The only thing worse than a lazy woman is a lazy man.
You made me laugh so hard when you said that.
Which part?
Because you said you came in from outside and you there was nothing but your face with this look on it, and you were just like, there's only one thing worse than a lazier woman. And I think the funniest part of it was that I had just got done making us food and you had just gotten done doing yard stuff.
Not lazy. Not lazy. That's the point, right? That's our attractive characters aren't lazy.
No.
But I see where people do the bare minimum. And I don't know where it was because I had my fair share of not doing things right, is the way my dad would say, do it right or don't do it at all. And
Amen.
Here's a hint. I never did it to the standard that they were looking for. And I don't know if that's where my baggage comes from. This point in my life, it's like, if you're going to put your fingerprints on something, it better be the best you can produce.
Right.
It wasn't there when I was being taught those lessons. I was crappy at pretty much everything. I always did half-ass. And now it's like, don't bother touching it if it's not going to be great.
You're making up for lost time.
I guess. It's nerve-wracking. It's not the place anyone healthy would want to be, mental health. But when I see people in life, when you have the opportunity to be great and people back off to the point where they're average, I don't get it. And then when you have average and they back off to the point where they're lazy, I don't get it.
I know you don't.
And I would say it's the military in me, but the military was how long ago? Freaking 20 years from the last time I was in. The first time I was in, it was 30 years ago.
Right.
So has that experience still put such a profound thought into my later years that now it's just snowballed? Is that where it originated from? Or is it everybody is so now mediocre?
I think, in my personal opinion, is that we are now seeing where people feel like they can more talk or buy their way out of doing things. So they can half-ass something because they can either
I love this topic.
they can either blame somebody else for why they didn't kind of go all in, or they can be like, well, I tried. Now I'm just going to go pay somebody to finish the job. So I think we live in a very different world. And I'm sure every generation says it, that we just live in a different world that we did once upon a time.
So is that's become acceptable?
I think that it has been because...
Or does this only happen in pockets like where we are, like outside of large metropolitan areas? Maybe rural America still has some effing principles to their names that are a little bit more steadfast. And maybe here in La La Land...
It is La La Land.
People with exceptionally high disposable income and ridiculous expectations feel they deserve things.
Oh, yeah.
Just for the fact of being in the vicinity of it.
Exactly. And it makes me think of, me growing up, we worked our rear ends off so my parents were very funny. They compensated us for straight A report cards. So we got money. And their whole thing was that they wanted us to have good grades for ourselves so that we had more opportunity than what they had with. And I think that's a lot of parents. It's like, I didn't have everything that I wish I would have, or I didn't have the education I wish that, I could have afforded. So they always want something a little bit better for their kids. That's what I'm guessing. Sure.
And they come from that mindset that's like, well, if I couldn't have it, my kid's going to have it.
Exactly.
What if your kid doesn't want it?
But too, this is the funny part. And, we always say we get to talk to so many different people, and there's some common themes coming up. And one of them is parenting and kids. Yeah. So like I was saying, we got paid to get straight A's. We wanted the money, so we worked our rear ends off. As a kid, I didn't I'm going to make straight A's so I can get into an Ivy League school. And mine was like, I want that money because I want to go out and buy myself a present. But now what you're finding now, so we had to work for our grades. If we got a B, a C, an F, whatever, I think it was an N back then, not even an F. My parents made us accept the grade that we got, and then you move on from it. What I'm seeing now and what I'm hearing about a lot are parents not accepting their children's grades, not because they know that their kids didn't prepare, but because they know that they can head on over to a school,
right,
and they can be like, you don't understand. My kid didn't deserve that grade. It's twisted.
But that's what you earned.
But it's what you earned.
Kid.
Exactly. It's different.
Different to here than when we grew up.
Absolutely. My parents wouldn't have gone to the school and been like, yeah, Jen did not deserve that grade. They know what grade I deserve because it's the grade I got.
I always got bad grades, so I never had that arguments. And there was really no hope of college when I was in school. That was the last thing my parents were like, oh, he's either going to dig ditches or he's going to work on cars. He's not going anywhere.
Well, and you did work on cars for a little while.
I did, and it was awesome. But, okay, so we initially started out with principles and how we're getting of the age where I'm becoming much more opinionated about our generation grew up this way. We still innovated the world. The Generation X were the innovators. So you can't look at that generation, and I'm not talking about discipline differences and educational differences and how much better the schools are now. Generation X were the innovators.
Yes.
This generation doesn't innovate shit. Okay, so don't tell me that the higher education matters. It doesn't.
No.
It's an ego stroke for the parents from Generation X that they didn't have this, they didn't have that, so their kids are going to get beaten into a box, go to a big school so that the parent looks like a rock star.
Absolutely.
That's not how it's supposed to work.
No.
And now, when I was talking about principled lazy man, lazy woman, maybe people anymore, they are so used to getting by and it being considered exceptional.
Of course.
It's like, nice job, Susie. You finished the grade with, 3.49. You're honor roll. When I grew up, that shit was an honor roll.
Right.
That was like the rest of us knuckleheads because the honor roll was above 4.0.
Right.
And there was very few of them.
Yes.
So you want exceptional, there can only be a few at the top. You can't have hundreds of kids at the top.
No, and you can't go in and try to use your words to change what that fact is.
So that happens at the gym. It happens in
yeah.
the school. It happens in businesses.
Yes.
Where people, they don't like the outcome. And they believe that everything's negotiable.
Yes.
And what happens is they'll run you through so we run challenges.
Yep.
That were based on body fat loss. If you didn't hit the target.
Yes.
The target at the time was 6% body fat. You had to lose 6% over the duration of our challenge.
Yes.
And it became so contentious because people would go, well, I lost 5.2.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I'm really sorry. It's not 6.
Yep.
It's pretty close.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. We can't do it. 5.6, 5.7, 5.8.
Yes.
5.9.
5.9.
It's not 6.
Yes.
And they would pitch a fit. We've been run through metaphorically run through because we didn't round up for these people.
Exactly.
And, we took a hit for it.
Yes.
And then now we have the school system that supports the same kind of mindset where you're exceptional if you're a 3.5.
Yes.
They lowered the standard for exceptional to make more kids fit into that hierarchy or that category. And then I had a theory. So now we're coming off track. There was a news report by, I don't remember the outlet that did it, but it was talking about the idea that college is set up wrong, that it doesn't do what it was originally promised to do. College in the 80s, first off, it was hard to get into. It was very hard to qualify, very hard to pay for. And then the jobs, the white collar jobs that required, higher degrees. I didn't know many kids in high school that went to college and finished. Now everyone goes to college. It's an expectation. Now, what if these standard tests and all the grading and all the honor roll BS and everything was meant to prime kids and parents to say, well, naturally you're going into college because the whole thing is a debt system created to enslave that kid so that the schools can get rich. So it's not really, what if your kid's not really exceptional?
Right.
What if you're being misguided and misled? It's like getting some piece of crap, junk mail that says, your car's worth $20,000. It's not.
Right.
It's a hook to get you to go in and spend more money.
Of course it is.
So if your kid's in high school and they're like, wow, your kid's really remarkable. You should put them into this program. We'll get them ready for college. They get into college where they're paying 4 times as much for textbooks as we used to. They're paying twice as much as tuition as they used to. And they're coming out of college with $100,000 in debt, making a $30,000 job. In what world does that kind of math make sense?
Yeah.
So what if this entire game for parents is playing, you're feeding into the lie and you're fighting for it because you think it actually means something
Right.
and it doesn't.
Right. It's my favorite thing with all of those is if you look back at some of the people who have gone on to be super successful, their education sometimes was not even through 12th grade.
Bill Gates dropped out of college.
But you look at I bet you Bill Gates, if he got a D, I bet you his parents didn't call the school.
Probably not.
Or, whoever created a major diet system or something that, stuck in and they fought, their parents probably didn't say like, well, it's not my kid's fault that they didn't lose the weight, or that person that designed a system is like, it's everybody else's fault, but my own that I kept failing.
No doubt.
I think with principles and stuff, where we're seeing some shift is, I said it, the world has changed. And I think that people always see that there is kind of a way out or a way to buy out of something.
There's no ownership.
Yep.
If you're excessively overweight and you now have developed preventable diseases,
Yes.
I don't hear many people say it's my fault.
No.
It is everything else. It's the genetics. It's my hereditary. It's my spouse has cooked this food and it's my fault.
Yep.
It's my mom and dad's fault. And I'm not saying these aren't real psychological things that can happen with
Definitely.
people, but it's not too often when somebody sits there and goes, this is 100% on me. I dug this hole. I'm going to dig myself out. They don't do that.
But it's a funny
a large
funny
percentage.
twist.
I shouldn't.
Right.
I hate broad statements. Sorry.
No, but like you mention it, like the Gen X, I have never, and I mean that word never, blamed anybody else for the circumstances that I've ever been in.
Ditto.
Like that is not the way I raised. I can promise you my sisters didn't do it. It's not the way they were raised. It's like oh, life is so unfair because of XYZ. It's like there are parts of it that were like, oh man, that sucks. I wish it would have been different. But it's not like I'm in this situation because, my mom didn't give me, an extra $5 back when I was 11. Like,
there's something to blame.
Yes. And it's
what was there was the academic scandal in California, or maybe it's just Hollywood, where all these big wigs, they got their kids, they bribed their way into the colleges.
Right.
So they're getting into the MITs and the Harvards, and their grades are crap, but they bought in.
right.
And the downside is it's wrong, but let's not pretend that corruption hasn't always been there.
No, of course it has.
They got caught.
No, of course it has.
But it was very likely the person whose kid got still less than stellar found out somebody bought their way in, pitched a fit, and then brought the whole thing down.
Yes.
Because they felt their kid was more gifted than the kid that bought their way in. Boo-hoo.
Yes.
It's real sad in your life when you can't teach your kid the hierarchy of life.
Yes.
Got some news for you. There's people on top and there's people on the bottom, and your kid's going to fall somewhere in the middle.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to be exceptional.
No, and we're harping on kids.
Adults are
but
the
I
same
think you
thing.
can say adults are the same. And with us being in the fitness world, I mean, how many conversations has it been? I'm different. Now I'm gonna walk into a room and I'm gonna bench press 400 pounds, even though I've never done it. And if I don't do it, Brian, it's your fault.
Yep.
We've experienced those things where it's like, to put in the time and effort for every single thing that you do, what you get out of it is what you put in. And that should be the standard that everybody adopts. It should be. If you were talking about laziness. If you are lazy with your yard, I'm only saying it because you're doing it. If you are lazy with your yard and your yard looks like poopy, you can't say like, I think it's the runoff from the, like.
There's always something.
There is.
My yard looks like crap because I don't take care of my yard. Period. But there was a point when
unless you get crabgrass. I don't know where that comes from.
It's a monster. I'm a crabgrass farmer. I'm great at it. That's the one thing I excel at. The characteristic that is built into the psyche where somebody owns responsibility, learns, takes steps, and advances, those are the great people in the world. It's not the person that has anything on a scorecard.
No.
It's not the person that has a big house.
No.
It's the person that can take their hit, learn, and turn fast.
Yes.
Those are the people that you need to look out for because they're going to beat you in every turn of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get hit, you blame, you get stuck in your little pool of, doubt and boo-hoo.
Yep.
While the next person goes, well, that hurt getting smacked in the face. I'm going to step left and I'm going to run in this direction and I'm going to keep going hard.
You better believe it.
And we pursue our business like that. Anytime there's a bump, we take a hit. We're probably bitter for a minute. And then it's like, watch this. I mean, there's never a time where we blame anything or anybody.
No.
And the only way, this gets into that mindset of extreme ownership. The book Extreme Ownership talks about how to actually get into taking responsibility for everything in your life and excelling and growing from it.
Exactly. It's just I think we're kind of different. I wouldn't say than everybody. I know there are people just like us out there, but it's like the effort that we put in is what we expect that we'll get out of it even eventually. So we could work our, 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days, and sometimes it produces something that we're like, dang, oh my gosh, we put in a lot of work and look what we got out of it.
Yeah.
Other times it's weeks of those kinds of hours till you see something, but we don't say it's somebody's fault or it rained and I was in a bad mood, or we're like, okay, we are missing something. Something shifted. We haven't figured out what that shift is on how we can get better and how we can advance forward.
The unique advances that we have in life, they don't come as rolling progressive wins.
Right.
Life doesn't do that. If you apply yourself a little, you get tons of reward. That's not the way it works.
No.
That's not how it works in your weight loss journey. That's not how it works in athletic and sport development.
No.
That's not how it works in your job. But we've gotten into the mindset where I have to push a boulder 100 miles over the period of my life. I've got to get that thing 100 miles. There's hills, there's little potholes and divots, and there's things along the way that's going to make it suck.
Right.
The only way I get that thing to the end of the 100 miles is that I have to keep pushing it.
Exactly.
Every once in a while is going to be a downhill grade, and it's going to be easier. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yep.
And at the bottom of that hill, it's going to start an uphill on the next one.
Absolutely.
And people, they get to pushing, it gets stuck in a pothole, and they're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Where's the payoff? What am I getting out of this? Well, you just started. You know, you're 1 mile into your 100. I quit.
Yeah.
Of course you do. Things got hard. Shocker.
And I think the other funny thing is for people to look at other people. So if you use the example you just said, you know, along that journey of what did you call it? A boulder?
A boulder.
Of pushing the boulder.
Push the rock.
You know what? You might have some family or friends kind of help you along a little bit. You know, I'm going to help them.
That's a perfect analogy. Along the way people help you.
Along the way they do. But you also can't. So let's say 8 join you and 4 have to go because they've got to deal with their own boulder.
Yep.
And then the other 4 go. You can't say, well, I'm not going to get anywhere now because I don't have them. It's like, but you progressed to where so far by yourself. You had some help that got you even further than what you expected. And now you've got to carry on and move forward. You can't say those people abandoned me or it's their fault, or you just have to say like, awesome.
It's your boulder. It's your path.
Yeah.
Well, here's another thought is at times you're going to have people on the other side of that rock working against you.
Yes.
Those are your haters.
And they'll be like 5,000.
Those are the ones that don't want you to succeed. Those are the ones that like you to be in the pool of turd with them. And every once in a while, we gotta wait a while, but sooner or later, even they get bored being haters and they disappear too.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense to me. Now we just have to change everybody. Well, we gravitate towards people that have the same similar, and it's not just a work ethic; it's a life ethic.
Yes.
And they pursue their life, their business, their faith. They pursue it all the same.
Yes.
And you'll see those when you see someone that's got an unbalanced. Let's say you take your money, your faith, your relationships, your hobbies, every one of those. If you're pushing it with the same aggressive approach that you take life on, you've got harmony and balance. When you find out someone's got like a character flaw, for only one of them's lit up, and they ignore the rest.
Right.
The rest of them is where the excuses come in. You know, I'm real great at socializing and work. I'm a workaholic. But, you know, my fitness is out of whack. My education's not so great. My relationships aren't so great. For all those things that aren't so great, it's somebody else or something else's fault. But for these two things, I'm kick ass, and, you know, I'll take ownership for things that I'm great at, but I'm going to deflect and disregard the ownership for the things that aren't my fault. And I'll blame the things that I'm good at for the reason I'm bad at them. Well, I can't lose weight because I'm busy.
Right.
I got a job. You know, I'm so busy. I can't take care of myself. Okay, so you're good at one thing, you're not good at the other, and then you've kind of taken a step back and said, I can sleep at night if I can kind of get myself to believe this little line, then I'm gonna be able to sleep at night and I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You said maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not built like that. And our role and what I try to do is I try to inspire people to take that aggressive approach to life and to fitness and to anything that's worth doing. It's worth doing your best, 100%. If it's mowing your lawn, if it's taking care of your fitness, if it's your school, and there's only one person that's responsible if it doesn't pan out, and that's you.
Exactly.
There's only a first and a second because 2 comes after 1.
Exactly.
There can't be 2 first place.
There can't. You could have one. When we were talking earlier, and it was like you said, you know, the greatest thing. It was like if somebody crosses a finish line at 2 minutes, and somebody crosses a finish line at 2 minutes and point 0 whatever
2.
Exactly.
Guess what, dude?
That still means that the person that crossed the finish line was faster than you, which means they're in first place.
It's the silver for you, dude. You're stuck at second. I want to talk about this. This isn't right.
I'm going to write that on our whiteboard. It's silver for you.
I tried just as hard as that person did. Yeah, but they're better than you.
Yes.
And that's life.
Oh, yeah.
When we talk about, here's another Sweeney example that you can take to the bank. Bullying in school. I don't mean the psychological stuff. I think smartphones and the internet have taken that to a whole new level.
Oh,
I was the recipient of bullying, and I also dished it out.
Yes.
Nowhere near as much as I got, I think. I was in a fight 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. All right. I was in a fight or running from a fight. Almost every day. And that establishes, did it damage me? I probably pursued fitness as a way to make sure that I didn't get beat up as often.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But did it damage me? No. I needed to learn lessons in life to understand this is people, this is situation, this is when you open your mouth about things, this is when you shut your mouth about things. And I was taught those lessons with a smack in the mouth. And a lot of times,
literally,
there's things I did that I never did twice because I got beat up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But, and then you pass that beating on down to the next person that needs to learn that lesson. But nowadays, I don't think kids fight. And I'm not saying they should. Of course, parents, I'm not at all suggesting your kids should be in a fight.
No.
But I'm telling you, that's the only way I understood the hierarchy of life, is that I understand that there was, how do you determine your friends? How do you determine your worth, your grit, your value?
Yes.
How do you understand how to talk to people? What's the word? Repercussion?
Yes.
Circumstances?
Yes.
I'm taught from all those things, from the social interaction of kids that were bigger and smaller than me.
Yes.
When I did things that I should and shouldn't have done. Because mom and dad's discipline only goes so far.
Yeah.
And when we've taken away that natural ability to establish hierarchy, you're left with a bunch of people walking around in bubbles all the time. They just bounce off each other. They bounce and make faces, and then when they've made those faces, it goes to the principal, the superintendent, lawyers, attorneys, the cops, and everything gets lit up now.
Yes.
And both kids are left learning no lessons.
No, and it's not, there are stories that we've heard that the parents, based on conversations with their kids, they've decided not to escalate it. That if they would have been escalated to like cops and everything, they should have been. We have heard some nasty stories, but then you hear stupid, and I mean that word, stories of, your daughter told my daughter that she didn't like her hair, and the parent gets involved in it. Let the kids
beat each other up.
Let them beat each other up. Not really. But let the kids, when I grew up, and I was never in a fight, and I always say it's for 2 reasons. Number one, everybody was and still is terrified of my older sister. I mean, I
didn't have an older sister or brother.
They're still, one of my friends in high school said the greatest thing ever. My older sister's Julie, and she said, he said, you don't squirt Jewel. We were having this water gun fight. It was awesome. And nobody would squirt my older sister. She's teeny. She's 5 foot, like 2.5. She'll say she's 5'3". I mean, these people could have taken her down with a water gun. There wasn't anything she could do, but her look could kill you. Well, then I learned that look from her. So then when people would be like, I'm going to kick your ass, I'm like, I'll meet you after school in the parking lot. And they never showed up.
It's like the Gila monster.
Exactly. But I would have never gone home and told my mom that somebody told me they didn't like me anymore.
The sticks and stones, is that not something that's taught to kids anymore?
I don't know. I think too, though, and this is a completely different topic, there are some kids that their parents are so oblivious to just how downright hateful they are, saying some things that if I found out that my kid said, I'd beat them.
They'd be murdered.
Exactly. Not really murdered.
Well, so now we're looking at, because we're fixing all the world's problems now.
We are.
The type of adult that your person's going to become is going to be shaped by their experiences when they're younger.
Yep.
And whether you're lazy or successful, accomplished, or if you have that get out of jail free card where it's just because if you argue it and you don't like the outcome that you get something out of it, that the final answer isn't the final answer.
Right.
Maybe that's the big difference. There was no negotiating a bad grade when I grew up. I mean, if I got a D or an F, there was no way negotiating it out. Now, I think kids are allowed to keep taking tests till they get better grades. Right? Isn't it?
That's what I've heard.
So here's the rumor. I don't know if it's 100%. Might be schools just native to here.
Yep.
Kid can fail, then go back in and retake that test. The exact same test, by the way. Not different answers, not different order. Keep taking it until you pass it.
Exactly.
Once you pass it, it's on record as your best grade. That's like putting quarters in a video game. You just keep shooting for high score.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
What the heck are you teaching your kid?
Yep.
So fast forward 10, 15 years, now you have an adult with a mad amount of debt that believes, well, there is no failure. I didn't have failure anywhere in my life. You know, I went through high school, exceptional, by the way, a gifted elite. I went into college, probably shouldn't have been there, but because of the phony elite program in high school, I got into a college that I shouldn't have been, so that I spend more money. Now everyone's in debt up to their eyeballs. When you get out, you can't get a job. And of course, it's nobody's fault because now you don't know how to hustle.
Right.
And I don't mean hustle for grades. Everyone can hustle for grades. If you're book smart, that's awesome. But hustle work smart, that is completely different. We had a kid that worked at our freaking gym that didn't know how to use a broom.
Right.
Was he a junior or senior?
Junior. Senior. No, senior.
He stared at that broom like it was somebody else's junk.
Right.
In his hand. And he's just like, I don't know what to do with this. That was a really bad example. Delete. I don't know what I went that. But it was that he was looking at it like there was something in his hands that shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And had no clue how to work for himself, had no clue how to do labor. And this was a junior in high school right now. Didn't you say his parents do his laundry too?
Yeah. But this isn't a podcast for like parents or whatever to be like, you know, we're condemning you.
Sure sounds like it now.
But I think that what's important to remember is, you know, there is going to be a day where these kids growing up are taking over the world. They're going to reach the age where they're going to run for, you know,
That's
president.
why I'm vocal. That's why I'm vocal about
Exactly.
it.
So I would say that whatever principles you were brought up with, if they were good ones and, you know, you grew up not lazy, you know, you were always striving to be the best you could be, you know, in whatever you decide to be. If you grew up in a way that makes you very proud of the adult that you became, I would caution that it's like, look at the way your parents raised you. And if you became this awesome citizen and remarkable person, and now you're doing everything the opposite, you know, you're going to bat for your kids when you shouldn't. Like you need to let them earn their grades. You need to let them, if, you know, two little girls are having a fight about, I hate you, you know, don't march your ass somewhere and get involved in it. Let the kids figure out, do they really hate each other, or are they upset because somebody had a shirt the other one wanted?
There's always cliques.
There are. And then it's like, you know, I think my parents getting rewarded for good grades was a good thing, because it means that we really tried, because we couldn't have understood that if we wanted to go on to college and you want a good job and stuff, you know, you have to get the grades to support that, depending on if that's what you want. But it's like, whatever you grow up to be, if you're kind of proud of the person you've become, and it's like you take care of you and you're responsible for yourself, then wouldn't you want to instill that on this next generation?
Don't take it from them.
No, and we're very lucky that we are involved in some teens' lives and stuff where I'm hoping that we can provide some of what we've learned. I think it's easier for us because we're not parents to humans. We have fur babies, that we can not get so caught up in what some parents get caught up in, and just say to, you know, these kids, don't take that so seriously, and, you know, with your fitness, own it, enjoy it, and love it, and try your hardest, and, you know, don't worry about what the person next to you is squatting.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, just do you, and be a good person, and keep your mouth shut when you should. And if you say something that you shouldn't have said, learn from it.
Own it. Don't
be like, somebody else said it. Just be like, no, actually, it's what I said.
This was very ranty, and we stepped into bounds that are going to be probably a little bit maybe considered outside of lifestyle, but we are trying to be more open about what's on our mind and what we're struggling with. And I do care, because in 20, 25 years, the country will be run by the generation I'm watching grow up.
Exactly.
And not having kids doesn't mean that I don't have a right to be concerned about the nature and the work ethic and the honor and integrity of a generation. And if there's something that you're going to do, and since we're fitness and health, if there's something you're going to do, there's only one way to go through it.
Yep.
And I guess I'm going to attribute it to the military, and maybe this is where it came from. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. Mm-hmm. Anything worth a minute of your time is worth all of your time.
Right.
Otherwise, don't put a minute into it.
Yep.
If you don't want to be healthy, don't be healthy.
Right.
But don't play around.
Right.
We did a whole show on dabbling.
Yep.
Don't do 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you're going to start a business and you're not ready to bleed and sweat for it, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't light up a school if you're not going to finish.
Right.
Don't start a job if you're not going to be 100%. If you're always looking about what's in it for me, don't do it. Just own that you're a weasel and go find things weasels do.
Exactly. And be content doing it.
That's right. And let the contributions to society happen with the freaking players.
Exactly.
The movers and the shakers, and I don't mean the rich people.
No.
Because neither of us grew up with resources readily available to us. And there was nothing that I was given, because even in the middle of my 30s, when the dot-com bubble broke, I lost my job. I had mounds of debt. I had to spend my entire 401k to survive.
Yep.
And when we started dating, which just goes to show I must have had some swagger, because I had nothing. I had no money.
You had nothing but swagger.
I had nothing but bills. And I had to start over again.
Right.
So not only did I come out of a bad relationship in my 20s, rock bottom, have to start over. 3 or 4 years into that new life, the economy broke.
Yes.
Rock bottom, had to start over. And I was left with nothing twice in my adult life. And then you build what you're willing to work for.
Yeah.
Knowing that 100-mile journey you've got over life to push that rock from start to finish, from birth to death, that entire time that you get to work, how far you get your boulder is going to be the way you were raised, the people you hang around with, the people that influence you. That's another great conversation. If you're hanging around other turds, you need to shake them loose.
Yes.
Other people that
shake loose your turds.
Shake the turds off. Other people that feed into your excuses and that they allow you to be less than your potential, get away from them.
Yep.
They are the worst thing doing for you, and they will hold you back. At the end of the life, let's put it this way: you have to push that boulder 100 miles, and you also only get 65 years to do it.
Yeah.
If you get the boulder there before 65 years, you get to enjoy what you built. But if you're one of those people that after 65 years, you've got that thing 40 miles down the road, you're going to have a real crappy end of your life. Because for whatever reason, you stopped, you complained, it wasn't fair, it was too hard, blah, blah, blah. Everyone else is grinding while you're sleeping. Those are the people that are going to be exceptional in life.
Yes.
And health and fitness, those are the only people that are exceptional in health and fitness.
Yeah.
Because while you're sleeping and making excuses and not buttoning down, they're out there grinding it. And they're the same as you.
Yes. I know.
You just make different decisions.
Yep. It's like the difference between taking ownership and not, the difference between being lazy or not, and the difference between standing on your principles and not.
Oh, we circled back pretty good because it was getting real hairy. I was like, oh, we're going to lose some people. That's fine. That's fine. I don't like you anyway. No, I do.
You crack me up.
I do. Any action items? I mean, we gave a lot of good tips, and we took a lot of that from our friends and mentors, and any any Tony Robbins thing we've ever listened to, and any audio book on relationships,
Yep.
and they all say the same thing about your circle of influence.
Yep.
Your parents, you're part of their circle, by the way. So
Definitely.
you need to be a contributor to their life. Just because you bore that person doesn't mean you can't be responsible on holding them back. Your behaviors are teaching them bad behaviors.
Yep.
Any other action items or takeaways?
I think we're good. It's just
Don't be lazy.
don't pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to what distracts you. Don't get involved. Don't get in somebody else's sandbox if you shouldn't be there. That includes
Worry about your own self.
worry about your own self. Worry about your own self.
All right. I'm gonna end with a quote, and I'm not gonna say where it comes from. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
We'll let you guys, if you know what it is, comment.
Okay.
All right. So you ready?
Uh-huh.
You are not special. You're not a beautiful and unique snowflake. You're the same decaying organic matter as everything else, and we are all part of the same compost heap. We are the singing, dancing crap of the world.
I know. Well, I know exactly where it's from, but I'm not going to say it.
It is a.
Don't. Yes.
It's the best. The source is the best of my generation.
Yes.
it's 100% the best thing. So good luck. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what it means. But
Exactly.
at the heart of it, you're not special. You're not beautiful and unique snowflake. We are all the same.
Yes. And there's another quote that is, "You are unique, just like everyone else."
All right, awesome. All right,
That
guys.
has nothing to do with anything. It's awesome.
That's perfect. That's an awesome way to do it. All right, guys. Thanks again for everything. We love you. Thanks for still giving us an opportunity to talk. We're really getting a kick out of it, and the feedback motivates us. So we're going to keep going. Please share. And
Yes.
the comments are awesome. If you put those in the right place, other people can see your comments. But the problem is now we're scattered all over the place because we're on the Google Play, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Podbean, we're on all different kinds of platforms, and people leave everything everywhere else. So leave your comments. We want to see them, but we're having a hard time keeping them all together.
Yes.
But we are grateful.
Yes. Truly. Truly.
Subscribe.
Thank y'all for tolerating us.
Share. That's right. And thanks for putting up with my crap.
Sweeney crap.
Sweeney crap. SC. All right, guys. Love y'all.
All right, y'all.
Take care. Be true.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Beyond the Dumbbells Show. We know you have thousands of options for content and entertainment. We appreciate you spending time with us. If you enjoyed our show, please share our web address, www.beyondthedumbbells.com, and maybe drop us a review. Until next time, live beyond.